Good evening, folks. Welcome back to the Horror Globe. I am Falagar, and I'm going to be reviewing the other rental I rented from Family Video is VHS 2. Should know right off the bat, I do not own the first one, nor have I seen it. So I know it might be kind of odd that I'm reviewing VHS 2 without have even seen the first one or even reviewing the first one, just getting on with 2, but I pondered whether or not I was going to review 2 or not, and I just figured it's Halloween, why not? From what I hear, that these are all pretty much standalone plots anyways. It's an anthology-like film, and it was, with a little twist to it. This follows the story of, I believe, 1, 2, 3, about 4 stories, 5 if you include the overall story arc, where it starts off with this, I don't know if it was a reporter or what he was, but he has a video camera and he's videotaping around the motel, and he sees this gentleman fucking a woman. Sees her through the windows, nice nude scenes, um, lovely breasts. You see them. He videotapes it. The maid catches him, and this brings the attention of the folks fucking. They give chase. He escapes in the car, and he's with a woman, and they're driving, and apparently they break into some kid, I don't know, kid's house, I don't know if, not kid, but this, like a teenager or something, where apparently he went missing or something. They break into his house, it's empty, but it looks like shit, it's all messy inside the house. They see all this video equipment set up in the living room, no furniture, just a TV and VHSs, uh, it's VHS, and VCRs. So the guy goes snooping around, and while the girl is tasked to just go through the tapes. So they're watching him on. She's watching him on the laptop where he's giving some story about his like he basically chronicled some of the events that you know that happened to him, I guess. And the woman puts in the first tape. And this first story was a guy with a bionic eye, and basically this opens up his perception where he can now see ghosts. He then encounters this other woman later on who was born deaf, basically, and she had this this implant, this procedure to give her back her hearing, and she can hear ghosts. So she stops by uh, his house because they met in the hospital, and basically they kind of team up and trying to just escape you know, these spirits or try to figure something out. And I thought that was a very, very well done story. You should know that all of these stories are taken in a POV form, from their perspective, out of their eyes. I'm not a fan of found footage stuff, but this is slightly different in the sense that it's a POV type thing, and that for this film and all the stories, it worked very, very well, and something surreal about the stories when you watch them in this type of format. Some stuff is some camera footage, but the majority of it is in fixed cameras and POVs, and it's really, really well done. Second story was a biker who basically gets bit by not a werewolf, but a zombie, and he has a cam on his head, so it's basically like coming out of his eyes, from what you see. So it's almost like the perspective of a zombie, what it's like to go through uh, slowly dying when you're in the process of becoming a zombie, and when you are a zombie, and how a zombie is through the eyes of a zombie, and that was fantastic. The next one, this was probably my favorite of them all because I had no idea which way this was going. It's like this Asian. I don't even want to spoil it, but we don't even. I watched this with my brother, and we couldn't even figure out what language they were speaking. It's of Asian, of course, origin, but it wasn't Chinese. It wasn't Japanese. At first, my brother said, "Is this Tagalog?" Filipino. It was not. It was in Thai. We don't know what language. Maybe Indonesian, possibly. Not too sure. So, anyways, it was really, really fascinating and really interesting watching that. And it's, of course, it's taking place here in America, but it's some sort of cultural gathering where it's focused on this whatever nationality these folks are. Um, and so, anyways, so it was like a mixture of mostly in their language, their native tongue, but with English thrown in too, because I don't know if they were like college students or something trying to do some report. I don't want to spoil this story for you. Let's just say there's some kind of secret, and things aren't what they appear. Um, and the ending of that one was really, really shocking. The shocking of them all, I think. And I think it was the longest. Oh, and by the way, I just want to get back to that first story with um, the ghosts, where the guy can see ghosts through the bionic eye and everything. Very nice nude scene, POV style, with the girl that can hear the ghosts. Very nice nude scene. I just wanted to refer to that so you folks know what the nude scenes are in here. So, anyways, that had to have been my favorite one, the Asian one with that secret that I don't want to spoil. The next one is it was called Slumber Party Alien Abduction, and that was pretty good as well. The aliens that you see, this is what it must be like when you get abducted by aliens. What this group of kids go through. There's some kids in this one, like real young ones, like they look like they were maybe 10 or 11, and they were swinging their ass off. But anyways, pretty good one. Maybe not my favorite or as good as some of those other ones, but still a decent entry. Picture quality and sound quality, well, what can I say? It's made, this is one of those where it's okay to not be super sharp or anything like that, because it's, even the whole menu screen looked kind of shabby looking, like as if it's coming off of a VHS, VHS quality. But, when you actually see the film, it's not quite bad like that, since it's coming from the perspective of the people, involved in the film, not necessarily coming off VHS types. But then again, the woman is watching it on these tapes where somehow, I don't know how exactly where the logic lies, because of how she's watching it from their perspective. Oh, I guess, there's always some logic how it got recorded. The guy with the bionic eye, it was all recorded. Because when you watch it, you'll understand what I mean. The zombie had a thing, so it was a cam. The other guy, they had like little cameras on their chest or somewhere around here, so it's all explained. So that's why I got it recorded. Never mind. So it's fine, but even though the quality of the actual film was still fairly good, so I'm pondering whether or not just to get these on DVD or on Blu-ray, because if I get it on DVD, it kind of adds to the charm of it. Is it really necessary to get it on Blu-ray? I don't know. If I see it cheap enough, I'll probably just pick them up on Blu. Who knows? And the overall story arc was, just didn't quite make any sense. Didn't quite grasp the concept of what was going on for that whole overarching story line of the whole thing. I'm talking about the overall story arc now, not the mini stories involved. There's always, in these anthologies, usually there's always like an overall story arc, a main story arc, and then the mini stories told within, the one story arc. Like Creepshow did it through the comic books, and that real world taking, where the comic stories were taking place in, was, in the real world, where the kids reading a comic, and there's a story arc involved in there. Creepshow had it, with the overall story arc. Matter of fact, in that one, the end story was kind of, the whole story arc leads into the end story in that anthology. But getting back to this one, so I didn't quite get that last, the whole overall story arc, what the logic was behind that. But it's not important, just as long as the overall content of here was good. And I thoroughly enjoyed this. It looked like there was a really decent amount of extras. I didn't have time to really watch them all. I only watched one of them, and it was like the 5-6 minute behind the scenes thing on Slumber Party Alien Abduction. Pretty cool. I don't know if they're all done like that. There was very little talking. It was just literally a behind the scenes of showing them make it without any talking or feedback from the actors or anything. But still quite good. So I'm hoping the other ones there's actually some sit down. Oh, you know, and there's like the behind the scenes footage, I guess, or the miniature behind the scenes documentaries is what it's looking like of each individual story arc, and then the overall. I saw something the making some sort of making of featurette of VHS 2. So it's going to talk about the whole thing in general, along with the breakdown of each story for each individual thing. So I think that's fantastic. I don't know how long that main featurette is. I'm guessing maybe if it's at least like 20, 30 minutes, that would be a decent thing on top of all the other stuff. So overall, the final score I would give for VHS 2, really liked it. My brother saw it with him, like I said. He personally gave it a 3 out of 5. Um, I did really, really enjoy it. I would have to give it, um, a strong 3.5 for VHS 2. Okay, so I do highly recommend that you at least check this out. If not buy it, I intend to buy it. Okay, so happy Halloween and farewell.